Today's lesson is unbelievable. How elephants' fear of bees is offering farmers hope. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about elephants and bees. Okay, of course, you know what elephants are, but bees are those little insects that can sting you. You got to watch out for them. But bees, of course, are very important with the pollination and helping us grow food. Those would, of course, be honeybees.
And, of course, we have a little word game there, a little word joke in our title, unbelievable. Of course, if something is unbelievable, that would be U-N-B-E. L-I-E-V, just one E after that initial B. That means it's something that is hard to believe. It's very surprising. It's shocking. It's something you wouldn't expect. But here, the bees are being surprising and shocking and doing things you wouldn't expect. Well, actually, not really the bees. The bees are doing what the bees do. It's the elephants. Apparently, they have a fear of bees. And this is giving hope to farmers who, I imagine, are tired of their crops being crushed and eaten by unruly elephants. So let's see how one of the smallest animals around, the bee, can help farmers be safe from one of the largest animals around. Should be interesting. Let's check out the first paragraph. Unbelievable. How elephants' fear of bees is offering farmers hope. There's an old superstition that elephants fear mice. While this isn't true, it turns out that elephants really do have a strange weakness: honeybees. Although elephants have tough skin, they still fear being stung because bees target sensitive areas, such as their eyes or trunks. What's more, their aversion to bees is surprisingly useful for farmers across Africa and Asia.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 superstition， 它的意思是迷信。例如 It's a superstition that walking under a ladder will bring bad luck. 人们迷信走在梯子下会带来厄运。或者 A lot of people I know have superstitions about ghosts. 我认识的很多人都对鬼有迷信。
Okay, let's talk about our article now. Let's start with the first paragraph. Again, we've got elephants, and they are afraid of bees. And we begin by saying, there's an old superstition that elephants fear mice. Now, here we've got the word superstition, and lots of cultures have different superstitions. It's kind of knowledge about something or a theory about something that probably isn't true, but people still observe the superstitions in case they don't have good luck, okay? We have some superstitions in the United States. You're not supposed to walk under a ladder. For example, it will give you bad luck. You're not supposed to step on the cracks in the sidewalk, or it might break your mommy's back. Step on the crack, break your mommy's back. That's kind of a superstition in a way. And in this particular case, a lot of people believe that elephants are afraid of mice. That is a superstition.
Yeah, of course. The fear of numbers, too, that could be a superstition. The number 4 is bad luck. Here in Asia, the number 13 in the West. And I guess that fear, that belief that elephants fear mice, that could also be described as an old wives' tale, one of those old bits of knowledge or folklore or legend that's passed down through the generations. And as we often find through the power of science and experiments, sometimes these superstitions or these old beliefs aren't exactly true. And apparently that's the thing with elephants and their fear of mice. I believe it was a Roman who first wrote about this, well, noticing it in Africa or somewhere like that. But apparently, as the article says, while this isn't true, it turns out that elephants really do have a strange weakness: honeybees. So it's not the mice that they are afraid of. It says, well, this isn't true. The superstition that elephants fear mice apparently is not true. It turns out, when something turns out, this is the way things actually are in reality. Maybe it's a little surprising, it's a little unexpected, but it turns out that something that you thought would be one way is actually quite different. It goes against your expectations and possibly even your beliefs. So it turns out that elephants really do have a strange weakness. It's not for for mice, it's for honeybees. Now, why is this? Well, it actually kind of makes sense. Although elephants have tough skin, they still fear being stung because bees target sensitive areas such as their eyes or trunks. So elephants are very similar to humans. They don't like being stung by bees. Well, it's true, yes, elephants do have thick, tough skin. If you've ever seen an elephant up close, their skin looks like dried out leather, and obviously it is quite tough. They often pick leaves from among spiny and thorny plants there in Africa, for example. But they do, like many animals, fear being stung. We would say a bee stings you, a mosquito might bite you. They're both using a sharp body part to puncture your skin. In one case, they're leaving some poison in there, in the case of the bee, whereas the mosquito, of course, is drinking blood. But in either case, they're causing you harm or injury with their small body parts, a stinger or a mouth part in the case of a mosquito. But bees, when they sting, when they're under threat, they will go for sensitive parts of the body like eyes or trunks. Imagine getting stung in the eye by a bee or the trunk. Well, for us a human, that would be maybe a bee flying up your nose and stinging you there. Ouch. This is not nice.
Right, so here stung, of course, is the past tense and the past participle of the verb to sting. And you often say, oh, I got stung by a bee. It hurts, Mom. Can you help me? And yes, elephants are afraid of being stung because the bees are smart. They target those sensitive areas like their eyes or their trunks. They don't bother with their thick skin or their tails. That's not going to be effective. They go right for the eyes. And what's more, or in addition, their aversion to bees is surprisingly useful for farmers across Africa and Asia. So this kind of introduces the topic to us. Bees have something to do with farmers in Africa and also here in Asia. We're talking about the elephant's aversion to bees. Okay, and aversion just means you're kind of afraid of something. You want to avoid it. You dislike it. And yes, they have this aversion to bees. I have an aversion to certain kinds of food, for example. I don't really like squash, or at least I didn't like squash when I was a kid. I had an aversion to it. I tried to avoid it as much as possible. Actually, now I like it, but when I was a kid, I didn't like it.
Yeah, obviously, if you have a bad experience with something as a child, then later it might grow into a fear, a dislike, an aversion. You just don't want to be in that situation or around that kind of thing. So let's find out how the elephant's natural aversion to bees is really good news for farmers. We're going to learn more in the second part of the article. Elephants frequently raid farms at night in search of an easy meal. Traditional deterrence methods include surrounding fields with strong-smelling spices and chasing the elephants away, but these techniques are neither effective nor safe. Fortunately, researchers have discovered an unusual solution that utilizes elephants' natural fear of bees. A field is encircled by a fence of beehives connected with wires. When an elephant walks into a wire, it disturbs the hives attached to it. This causes the elephant to retreat. One study showed that beehive fences prevented crop raids an impressive 86% of the time. As an added bonus, farmers can make extra money selling the honey.
第二部分接着看到动词 raid， 表示突击、突袭，但也可以是抢夺或是打劫的意思。例如 The police raided the home of the criminal. 警方突击搜查该名罪犯的家。或是 Protesters raided the business, demanding reform and accountability. 抗议者闯入该公司，要求改革和问责。下一个看到动词 utilize， 它的意思是运用、利用或是使用。例如 Lola decided to utilize her free time by learning a new language. Lola 决定利用空闲时间学习新语言。也可以说 The president was known for utilizing his advisors well. 该总统以善用自己的顾问著称。继续介绍动词 disturb， 表示扰乱、妨碍、破坏，也可以是使点点点心神不宁的意思。可以说 I didn't want to disturb you while you were reading. 我不想在你看书时打扰你。又或者说 The constant hunting disturbed the natural order of the forest. 经常狩猎扰乱了森林的自然秩序。接着看到名词 hive， 它的意思是蜂箱、 蜂巢或是蜂群。例如 Don't place your hive somewhere that is very windy. 不要把你的蜂箱放在风很大的地方。再看一个例子 Don't go near the hive or else you might get stung. 不要靠近蜂巢，不然你可能会被叮。再来我们看到动词 retreat 指的是撤离或是后退。举例来说 When the enemy attacked their position, the soldiers were forced to retreat. 当敌军攻击他们的阵地，军人们被迫撤退。又或者说 People retreated to high ground as the floodwaters rose higher. 随着洪水涨得更高，人们撤退到高处去。
Okay, here's the second part of our article for today. It begins by saying, elephants frequently raid farms at night in search of an easy meal. If I were them, I would do the same thing. I'm big, I'm tough. There's a farm over there with some food. I'm just going to go over there and help myself. So here they raid these farms at night. To raid just means to attack something, like the rebels raided the town for food or whatever. In this particular case, they attack farms, they go in there, and they do this at night, of course, so they don't get caught, and they are in search of an easy meal. If you're in search of something, you are looking for something.
Exactly right. If Roger's like me, he might raid the refrigerator at night. Maybe before going to bed or early in the morning, you suddenly get hungry, and a raid is kind of like an attack, maybe a brief attack. You kind of go into a place, grab as much as you can, and leave as quickly as possible. So basically, they're going in and stealing food from farmers' fields. Of course, at night is a good idea when everyone in the village, including the farmers, are sleeping. It says traditional deterrence methods include surrounding fields with strong-smelling spices and chasing the elephants away. But these techniques are neither effective nor safe. Okay, well, they're pretty good efforts, I would say. So these are traditional, these are the common and maybe been used for a long time methods of deterrence. Deterrence is basically preventing or stopping someone from doing something, maybe not actually physically stopping them doing it, just making it seem too hard for them to try. Oftentimes, if you have a car alarm or one of those things that goes on the steering wheel of your car, if you put a big lock on the wheel of your bicycle or your motorcycle, maybe the robbers won't even be tempted to try to open your car or break open that lock. They'll just see it there and go, that one is too hard to get. That's a tough target. Let's move on to something much easier. So that's maybe a method of deterrence. In the same way that some animals might puff up their body and make themselves look big and scary to frighten away another animal, even if the animal looking scary isn't actually that tough, like a big cat. That method of deterrence is going to frighten the other animal away and make it find another victim, in other words. So these methods to keep elephants away from the fields include strong-smelling spices. I guess the smell of the spices is so strong it annoys the elephants. And then, of course, chasing the elephants away. They probably might use firecrackers, banging pots and pans together, making lots of noise and things like that. Hopefully that will keep the farmers' fields nice and safe, but apparently they don't work that well. They're neither effective, so they don't really work, nor are they safe. I guess leaving all these spices lying around can also harm some of the farm animals that might accidentally consume them. So neither of these traditional methods really works very well.
Right, neither or neither. You can pronounce it either way, and this is part of that pattern here, neither something nor something else. One thing isn't, and the other thing isn't either. So they're neither effective nor safe. They still use them, I guess, because they are effective sometimes. Maybe they get lucky and the elephant runs away. Well, here in the next paragraph it says, fortunately, researchers have discovered an unusual solution that utilizes elephants' natural fear of bees. So we've got people who are experts on elephants and on bees. These are researchers. They've done research on this particular topic. They're trying to help out those farmers, and they have made a discovery. It's an unusual solution to this problem, an answer to this problem, and this particular solution utilizes elephants' natural fear of bees. So here to utilize just means to use something, to take advantage of something. They're using the elephant's natural fear of bees against them so that the elephants will stay away from those fields. How do they do it?
There you go. It says a field is encircled by a fence of beehives connected with wires. So basically, you get the bees and the beehives that they live in to act as the towers on a castle wall or something like that. You put enough of those beehives around the fence, and it creates this small army of bees to keep the elephants away. Simple, but apparently this is very effective. When you encircle something, you basically make a circle around it. If you're talking about a castle wall, well, a castle wall wouldn't be very effective if it didn't totally encircle the castle and the area it was trying to protect. Otherwise, it would have one open side, and the enemy would just march right through that big gap in the wall. So to encircle is to make a circle around something, to enclose something. I guess you can think of when you give someone a hug. You're using your arms to encircle their body, to kind of make a circle around their body. So they make a circle of beehives and connect them with wires. That's very interesting. Now, these aren't electrical wires. They're just bits of wire, bits of metal strands, thin metal strands. And the idea is when an elephant walks into a wire, it disturbs the hives attached to it. So it won't send a signal down the wire. It will actually pull on the wire. That will shake both of the beehives or all of the beehives in this chain, and the bees will come jumping and flying out of their hives looking for the danger, seeing an elephant, and I guess then making the elephant's evening meal a very bad idea. It will disturb the hives. When you disturb something, you bother it, and it can also just mean to sort of mix things up. If you disturb your friend, you're maybe bothering your friend by making too much noise or something. But in the same way, if you put a spoon into a bowl of soup that's settled to the bottom and kind of stir it, and now it gets all cloudy again, that's also disturbing the stuff that's on the bottom, the soup that's floated to the bottom, I should say, or sunk to the bottom of the soup. You disturb it by stirring it around, mixing it all up. And here we're disturbing the hives. As I mentioned, a hive, it can either be a natural structure actually built by the bees, maybe inside a tree trunk or something like that, or it can be a man-made container, sort of a small house, and the bees live in there, and that's where they can make their honeycombs and breed and things like that. So basically, it's a home or a building or a small structure for bees to live in.
Right, and this causes the elephants to retreat, okay? So when they disturb the hives and the bees get angry and start chasing them, well, the elephants retreat. They run away. To retreat just means to back up after you attack. If you attack the enemy, of course, and if they shoot at you and it seems like you're outnumbered or something, you might choose to retreat and live to fight another day. One study showed that beehive fences prevented crop raids an impressive 86% of the time.
Wow.
So here we've got a study or some research that says that, hey, these beehive fences are actually effective. 86% of the time, the elephants are repelled, they are deterred, they stay away, they retreat.
There you go. And remember, the old methods were neither effective nor safe. To go from maybe 10% effective to 86%, that is pretty good. And as an added bonus, we read, farmers can make extra money selling the honey. When the bees settle back after the elephant raid, the bees will go back to what bees do, flying around collecting pollen from flowers and plants and then turning that into delicious honey, which, yes, can then be jarred or bottled or whatever and sold by the farmers. So that is an additional source of income, an added bonus. That's like an extra good thing above the main goal, which of course is to scare the elephants away. So there you go. Sounds like a win-win situation, at least for the bees and the farmers. Let's take a break and then we'll have the last part of the article. This approach has its limits, though. Other animals sometimes attack the hives. Beekeeping requires special skills, and droughts negatively affect hive health. Nevertheless, the possibility of an elephant and farmer-friendly method of crop protection is certainly something to be excited about.
第三部分看到名词 drought， 它表示干旱或是旱灾。可以说 An ongoing drought in the area has resulted in significantly reduced crop production. 该区持续的干旱导致农作物生产大幅减少。最后一个例子 Many farmers lost their crops due to the severe drought. 由于严重干旱，许多农民损失了农作物。
All right, here's the last part of the article. Of course, it sounds too good to be true. Of course, there are going to be drawbacks or the downside to this approach.
I don't believe you.
What a good pun. I wish I had come up with that myself. But in any case, this approach, this idea, this technique, this strategy has its limits, though. Okay, it does have some limits. There are some problems with it. Other animals sometimes attack the hives, and beekeeping requires special skills, and droughts negatively affect hive health. So these are some of the downsides here. Of course, other animals might get involved. You might get a cheetah there or a tiger or whatever. I guess there are no tigers in Africa. You would have lions, I guess. Lions would do that. And yes, indeed, beekeeping is not just something anybody can do. You need to have special skills, special training. And then, of course, there are droughts, periods where there isn't a lot of rain. It gets really dry, crops die, and that will affect the health of the beehives.
That's a very good point. And of course, droughts are becoming more common due to climate change, so definitely something to think about in the long term. Nevertheless, or however, back to the good news, back to the effectiveness of this interesting plan. Nevertheless, the possibility of an elephant and farmer-friendly method of crop protection is certainly something to be excited about. They didn't turn that into a pun, but I just did there.
You had to do that, didn't you?
I absolutely had to. So even though there are some downsides, some cons, it's not entirely a perfect plan. There is this possibility, the chance to have an elephant and farmer-friendly method, both in terms of health and also in terms of maybe giving the farmers some extra money. All of those things together for crop protection, protecting their valuable crops from those hungry elephants. It's something to be excited about. This is definitely one of those good news stories that we like to hear once in a while.
And we will be excited now as we listen to our Chinese teacher, Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 今天的文章是关于大象对蜜蜂的恐惧。那我们来看看文章里的5个题目。第一题写到 Although elephants have tough skin, they still fear 空格。虽然大象的皮肤厚实，但它们仍会怕空格。那先来看选项 A. To sting, B. Of being stung, C. Being stung, D. Of stinging。 好，那这个题目是在测验语法，4个选项都是 sting 的不同形式。空格前面有 fear， 它是指害怕恐惧。fear 当名词的时候，后面可以接 of 加名词。可是在这边 fear 它是当动词，所以选项 B of being stung 和 D of stinging 都可以先删除不考虑。好，我们看到 fear 它当及物动词的时候，后面常常会接名词或动名词来表达害怕某事发生，有时候也可以接不定词 to be 来表达害怕做某事。从语义上来看，课文应该是要表达虽然大象的皮肤厚实，但它们仍会害怕被蛰。从语义上来判断呢，应该用被动语态 being stung 表达被蛰，所以这题的正确答案就是选 C being stung。看到第二题 Traditional deterrence methods include surrounding fields with strong-smelling spices and chasing the elephants away, but these techniques are neither 空格 nor safe。传统遏制方式包括在农地周围放置味道强烈的香料和驱赶大象，但这些方法既不怎么样，也不安全。那句中用到 neither 空格 nor safe， neither A nor B 就可以表达既不怎么样，也不怎么样。A 和 B 都不怎么样。其中这个 A 和 B 的词性要相同，所以就可以判断空格里面要填入形容词。这题就是考我们字汇咯。选项 A enormous 形容巨大的极大的， B effective 是有效的有用的， C exclusive 是独家的独有的或独享的， D excessive 是形容过多的过分的或是过度的。语义上来判断，课文应该是要表达传统的遏制方法既不有效也不安全，那最适合的答案就是 B effective。第三题 When an elephant walks into a wire, it disturbs the hives 空格 it。 当大象碰到金属线时，会惊扰到空格其上的蜂箱。这题考我们分词片语，4个选项都是分词片语， 前方是省略了关系代名词 that 还有 be 动词 are。我们看看选项 A rooted in 表示深植于或是根源于，那这常常用在抽象概念。B created from 这是表达由什么创造而来，由什么制成。C built on 表示以什么为基础，建立于什么什么，这多用于概念或者是成就。D attached to 表示固定在或是附着在什么什么上。好，课文前一句提到研究人员在田地四周架设一圈用金属线连接的封箱围栏，而这个题目句子应该是要表达当大象碰到金属线时会惊扰到固定在上面的封箱。那最符合语义的答案是 D attached to， 其他三个选项语义都不符合。第四题 as in 空格 farmers can make extra money selling the honey，作为空格，农民还可以透过销售蜂蜜来赚取额外的收入。这题是在考我们语义的理解。我们来看选项 A added bonus 额外的好处， B unexpected threat 意外的威胁， C immediate success 立即的成功， D overnight fame 一夜成名。那课文前面提到封箱围栏可以防止农作物遭到破坏，这是它的主要优点。而题目后面的句子进一步的说明农民还能靠卖蜂蜜赚钱，那可以判断空格应该填入能够承接两句的语义，并表达封箱围栏正面影响的词语。那最适合答案就是 A added bonus 来表达额外的好处。好，看到第五题，他写空格逗号 The possibility of an elephant and farmer-friendly method of crop protection is certainly something to be excited about。空格逗号这种可能对大象和农民都友善的农作物保护方法，确实是一件令人兴奋的事。那这题考我们副词，来看选项 A furthermore 表示此外而且， B soon 表示不久很快地， C occasionally 表示偶尔有时， D nevertheless 表示尽管如此或然而。课文前面提到封箱围栏有许多好处，但仍有其局限性。那这个题目句子话锋一转，强调说它仍然是一种令人兴奋的方法。我们可以判断空格应该填入能够表达对比语义的副词，最符合的答案就是 D nevertheless 来表达尽管如此然而的意思。那其他选项都不符合语义。好，那以上就是今天的讲解，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Superstition. Many people believe the superstition that breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. Raid.A gang of thieves raided the museum last night and stole several valuable paintings. Researcher. As a medical researcher, Dr. Floyd focuses on finding treatments for rare diseases. Utilize. Amelia has learned to utilize her time more effectively by creating a detailed daily schedule. Disturb. The papers on my desk are arranged by date, so please be careful not to disturb them. Hive.Nathan discovered a large hive in the old tree next to the playground. Retreat. As the storm grew stronger, the hikers decided to retreat to a safer location. Drought. Farmers are struggling to save their crops during the ongoing drought.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.